Well, welcome back. Well, as I said, have you ever thought about being on a grand jury? Well, here's your opportunity. And today we have on a gentleman that can answer some questions about that. We have Assistant Presiding Superior Court Judge, right?
Yes.
Charles Marginis from obviously the Orange County Superior Court. And you're overseeing this program. First, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you on, sir.
Thank you very much, and for allowing me to be here. And I'm here to urge your viewers to consider applying for a position on the Orange County Grand Jury for the term that begins this July 1st.
Okay, my first question is, often we watch news, and you'll see something happen on the news. And one of the things that may be reported is, or they'll talk about, well, this case is going to go to the grand jury and then it'll take it from here. So my impression of a grand jury has always been that some of the more important cases or that may go to them to figure out, to gather the information, is this should proceed. I don't know if that's true, and that's why you're here today, to talk about what does a grand jury do.
Certainly. The grand jury's functions can be divided into two categories, criminal and civil. The criminal is what you're referring to. And in that regard, it receives evidence and determines whether or not there's sufficient evidence to issue an indictment, which is an accusatory pleading of charging one or more felonies. As a practical matter, probably 98% of felony prosecutions commence not with an indictment, but with what's called a complaint. But there are reasons that the district attorney goes to the grand jury for an indictment. For example, since those proceedings are held in secret, if there's a concern that a complaint is filed and evidence may be destroyed or witnesses may be intimidated, the DA would go to the grand jury. Sometimes there is a concern that the statute of limitations can run, and so it's a quick trip to the grand jury for an indictment. Intimidation of child witnesses might be a concern because in a preliminary hearing, which is what follows a felony prosecution commenced by a complaint, witnesses sometimes have to testify. And if it's by way of indictment, there's no cross-examination. The defendant is not present, his lawyer's not present, and so there isn't that concern. And the witnesses would testify only once, and that's at the trial if there were to be a trial.
Okay. What is the other part? What is the bulk of what the grand jury does?
Yes, the majority of the grand jury's work is civil in nature, and in that regard, the grand jury as a group inquires into and, if necessary, investigates the operations of county and local governments and government agencies to ensure that their activities are valid and that their services are efficiently and legally provided. The grand jury makes recommendations based on its investigations, and those are reduced to a written report. By law, the report has to be furnished to the agencies or governments that are the targets of the investigation, and they have so many days to respond to the report. And sometimes the response is very positive. Yes, thank you very much for pointing out inefficiencies in the way we conduct business, and we're going to institute the recommendations that you have made in your report.
If someone is interested in this, and we're going to give the information in just a moment, they might be watching us right now and thinking, well, I have no legal experience. I know little about this. This sounds like something I have the time to do and would like to do. What type of experience is necessary?
We like life experience. It's not necessary to have any legal training or experience. There are a number of requirements to be a grand juror. You have to be at least 18 years old, a U.S. citizen. You have to have lived in Orange County for at least a year, and you have to have sufficient command of the English language to be able to work with others and engage in discussions with other members of the grand jury and to write reports.
And why is a grand jury having one and being on one so important to the county and to the court system in general?
Well, as a public watchdog, the grand jury promotes sound government, and it does so, as I indicated, by making recommendations to various agencies and governments within the county to improve their performance. And as I indicated earlier, the grand jury can conduct investigations into various agencies. It can also conduct investigations into government officials for, say, malfeasance, which would be corruption in office, a violation of the public trust, or the like. And so it's, in a way, the voice of the people to make sure that government does what it's supposed to do.
And is there a certain time commitment to this, or is it just kind of open?
Oh, no. I want to be very clear with your audience. It is a full-time job for a year.
Okay.
5 days a week, although typically fewer than 8 hours a day, and oftentimes Fridays are half days. The grand jury itself determines its schedule. Usually, the grand jury takes off 2 weeks a year for vacation around the end of the year and around spring break. And of course, they are off during court holidays.
Okay. And is there a salary or a stipend or something paid to them?
There is no salary because they're not employees, but there is a stipend that's paid by the county. It's traditionally been $50 a day. However, this year, it may be that the county will not pay that much. And so, because we believe in truth in advertising, we are saying that the pay, so-called, we put that in quotes, is a minimum of $25 a day, and we hope that the county continues to pay at the rate of $50 a day. In addition, there is a mileage reimbursement at the county rate, and there is free parking for grand jurors in the basement of the courthouse where judges park.
Okay, so this is definitely, if someone is interested in this, it is something that, it's a commitment. You don't want somebody to get on and then 2 months later saying, you know, this isn't for me. Now you're looking around once again to fulfill that position.
Oh, absolutely. You need to go into it with eyes wide open. You are making a commitment to work for less than minimum wage for a year.
Okay. Is there training involved?
There is a small period of training, yes, and it's usually provided by former grand jurors at the beginning of the term.
Okay. And once an application is set forth, by the way, let's get the information here before I forget. You see the number on the screen, 714-834-6747, and probably the best thing you can do is go to the website, ocgrandjury.org, and you need the applications in just a few days, by the end of this month, the 29th, right?
Exactly, by the 29th, not the end of the month, which is next Wednesday.
Okay.
And after that, there is an orientation, a mandatory orientation on the 31st in the central courthouse. There's more information about that on the application.
Okay. How does the screening process work?
Okay.
Maybe you'll get more people than you need, so you might have to screen them.
We hope so. Basically, there is a committee of 25 judges, the Grand Jury Recruitment Committee, which reviews every application. And then we reduce the number to approximately 90, and ideally 18 from each of the 5 supervisorial districts.
Okay.
The committee then breaks up into small groups, 2 or 3 judges, who interview every one of those applicants. Then we come together again as a committee and we pick the top 25 or 30 applicants. And then we present that list of prospective grand jurors to all of the judges of the county who vote. And when we have our top 25 or 30 list, the final step is a public random drawing of names. And the first 19 drawn out of a hat become the grand jury. The remaining ones become alternates.
Okay. And is the screening process, when you sit down and interview with them, much like any juror that would go to a trial and be interviewed, or is it more intense and obviously probably more one-on-one?
It is more one-on-one than you find in the typical trial jury process. What we look for, in addition to the minimum requirements, of course, are 2 qualities that we think are very important. Number 1 is the ability to work well with others, to work cooperatively, because after all, grand jurors don't work individually, they work in groups. So you need to be able to get along well with others, consider their views, while at the same time feeling free to express your own. The other one is the ability to use a computer, especially the word processing programs, because much of the work the grand jury does includes preparation of reports.
Okay. So a large commitment, and obviously something that if people are interested in this, they have to think about. And again, the best way to do this, to get the process started, because you have a short amount of time here, is go to the website, ocgrandjury.org. There is a hotline. Again, the number is 714-834-6747. And it sounds like something that, despite the commitment, it could be very rewarding for people. I can imagine.
Absolutely. You don't do it for the money.
Yeah.
However, it's very rewarding. You learn the inner workings of your local government, and at the same time, you can make a difference for the better.
Yeah.
People come away from that thanking themselves for having done it.
Yeah.
No one regrets it.
I can certainly understand that. Judge, I want to thank you again for coming on. Great information.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
And, maybe we'll see you back here again for some other reason if you ever want to come on and talk about the court system or whatever
Absolutely.
it is. It'd be quite fascinating.
I'll be delighted to.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're
We'll be
welcome.
right back. Very good.
Thank you. I appreciate that.